everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Is it the weekend yet?
Free weekend time.
Yeah.
But we're doing the bonus video. This is going to be about some of the changes in appraisals that we've been seeing, especially with conventionals being a little bit more not so lenient on things that we're not used to. So I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll just talk about a few things we've been seeing happening and then and wrap it up. We messed up on the calendar somehow. So today on the calendar, this is supposed to be our recap. We skipped a week. So the recap will be next week, and this will just we talked about appraisals last week, right?
Yeah.
We talked about appraisals. So this will kind of go with that, as we've been talking about how
kind of like a follow-up. So I just had a listing and I knew it was a problem listing. You always know when it doesn't sell. So I was the second agent. I looked over the home inspection that they got. They were under contract a few times. So you can see that history like on and off the market. So it's inspection usually because it's within that 5 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So I looked over the inspection they had, the house was rough. It's a fixer upper. I mean, but it was nothing in a million years it was not even in the realm of not being conventionally financeable.
Oh.
Like I was like, we're definitely no FHA, definitely no VA. Because this wasn't just a little peeling paint or a little rotted wood that we could repair.
Yeah.
Because you can make repairs if the appraiser says, hey, we don't like this or that, you can do the repairs. But this was like beyond where you're not going to do that. And I was like, well, we'll just cash or conventional only. So we got a great conventional offer, no inspection. They took the old one, full price, and we rolled with it and then hit a roadblock during appraisal when it came back. And it was like the value was actually higher by a decent amount than the purchase price. So to me, if it's higher, but there's repairs, that should soften that. But it didn't. And they wanted, they mentioned peeling paints, the broken glass from some of the broken windows, some wood rot. And these are all things that I've been doing this 20 years. And I've been hearing this for FHA. This is very common. And we hear this all the time. They've marked a handrail, missing a handrail. And I was like, this is crazy. I noticed that the appraiser was a licensed FHA appraiser. So in my mind, I thought somebody made a mistake. Somebody ordered an FHA appraisal and this is conventional, or they flipped financing and didn't tell me, and that's not going to be okay. So, I reached out to the lender. He never got back to me. I sent the appraisal to another lender that I trust and just said, what is this? And he was like, no, this is like a thing. He shouldn't have marked the handrail, but this is a thing. So it's my understanding that now conventional is coming, having these guidelines similar to VA and FHA on appraisals. I don't know where it originated, if it was just to kind of level the playing field because we were seeing so many multiple offers and the VA and FHA get kind of put to the bottom of the pile because they potentially could have appraisal repairs where conventional, you never saw it. I mean, you could be missing flooring, missing a hot water heater, missing a furnace, fixer uppers were definitely possible. And now it doesn't appear that way. So we switched. I thought it was a lender issue.
Yeah.
And then their circle of appraisers. And I switched and same thing. Actually, even worse. Then they wanted a roof cert, which I've only seen on an FHA loan. I've never seen an underwriter want a roof cert, which is basically a roofer saying, I certify that this roof has X amount of years left. And then the underwriter gets to decide, is that enough for us to want to borrow them the money or no? But I've only seen that on VA or FHA. I've never seen that on conventional. So that came up then too. And that was with Fairway, which I love and use all the time. So now I know it's real. And I couldn't believe nobody told me this. I'm friends with so many lenders. And I was like, I can't believe nobody is talking about this.
It's probably a compilation of things as well, because we are starting to see even, everything is automated underwriting for the most part, whether it's through Fannie Mae system or Freddie Mac's. And we're seeing a lot of tightening up of what they're allowing and not allowing. usually you can see or feel when they tighten up their online restrictions, because you'll start getting more referrals or more cautions, right? Instead of an instant approved, this borrower's approved. A lot of times they'll start seeing it, refer it. When I say refer, it's just like, hey, this isn't going to pass the way you're submitting it. So either put more money down, or the borrower might need a higher credit score. So you have to start reading through those guidelines and seeing what the system isn't liking about it. And we're starting to see that more. So maybe just with where we are economically, with the market, they might just be tightening things down. In terms of your roof, probably because insurance agents or insurance companies are starting to tighten things up. Prices are going up. They're not liking roofs that are older than 9 years old.
Yeah. Well, and weirdly enough, I got a roof cert and it only had like 2 to 3 years left, and the end financer was fine with that. So that was, we got the roof through, and then, but it was like the peeling paint and all the wood rot, and they wanted, it's deferred maintenance is what they call it. So they wanted a contractor to come and say, like, this is just deferred maintenance. This isn't like it's not like deeper than what we can see, causing structural issues to the integrity of the home. It's still very much livable. So we had that. And then, I mean, in the end, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so now that house was, it's got to go cash only, which it's livable. I mean, you could totally live there. The inside is great. It's just deferred exterior maintenance that is causing this. And it's crazy.
Well,
so every agent I've talked to, that when I put it back on the market as cash only, they're like, why wouldn't it pass conventional? That's so weird. And so then having conversations with multiple agents, they're like, what? This is like mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
It's like, no, for real. Twice, 2 times, not just once. So twice. So I think that is something to watch for.
Everybody's trying to protect their investment, really is the bottom line. And I think it's coupled, you nailed it. It's coupling it with a bunch of multiple factors as well. Even the increase in the price of homes, right? The appreciation is skyrocketing in a sense. And maybe they're trying to tamper that down as well, because you don't want a repeat of 2008 either, right?
No.
Right. So, exactly.
That's part of the appraisals also. Like, they're now starting to require look back periods where they have to take each comparable that they're using. And, at the beginning of an appraisal, they're always going to take the last 12 months to determine the appreciation for the 12 months, right? But now they're going to dig into each comparable that they're using to determine at what point in that year, was it a burst of appreciation in a 3-month period? So they have to adjust for the entire year's appreciation.
Yeah. And then I actually had one too that I can't remember what they called it. So we came in at value, no repairs. It was a flip. It was gorgeously done. But they wanted they investigated like the value. I think they thought it was like too high for the area. I mean, but which was weird because the owner had only owned it they flipped it. So I think it was like 9 months, or maybe they owned it a year, but it was worth the same. They have an appraisal saying it's the same prior to doing all the gutting and fixing it. So it was like,
wow.
Wow.
But then one of the lenders we work with too came out with a video and said that's like a new thing. So sometimes if it looks too good to be true, like, we don't feel like this house should be worth that much in that neighborhood. They're going to take a second look at it.
And as much as some of this sucks for home buyers, it's also there to protect you as a home buyer as well. Right? Because the reality is houses are being priced out of the market for a lot of people. And let's also talk about VA loans, if we're going to go there, right? VA veterans that are active duty or whatnot, they're they have transfer orders to go to different states or different cities. They have to be so careful about the house that they buy, because they might only be there for 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
And they're getting 0 down financing. Some of them are putting money down, but they have to be careful that they're not going to be upside down in a house come the 2 years.
Right.
So it's all such a balancing act. And, you've got a lot of professionals in the industry that are trying to protect your investment as much as it sucks. Just know that it's there to also protect you and the lender, everybody involved. It's risk, leveraging it.
Yep. And when those problems arise and, you want to try to go through them, that's why, again, have the good team and try, like Danielle literally tried everything that she could possibly do with that house.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled out all the stops. I did everything I possibly could. Where
So would it cost a lot to actually repair the wood rot or to do the scraping and the painting?
I mean, my best guess would be 30,000-40,000 in siding. I mean, you could probably have put a Band-Aid on it to get it through an appraisal, which, I've done, we do all the time. You just fix the little thing and it doesn't, especially in our climate here, like you can't paint in the winter. Like, I don't understand, but we'll go quick scrape and paint it. It's not going to look good in a few weeks because we painted when it was too cold out. It's just going to peel back up, but at least it looks good. It can get through appraisal and everyone knows it's just a Band-Aid. This would have been a big Band-Aid, but we could have probably done what the appraiser, the few things they wanted, for relatively inexpensive, but it just came down to the seller just being stubborn and not wanting to do anything. It's like, well, then I can't help you.
Unless there's
You
an appraiser
owned a house for 10 years and didn't put a single dollar into it to take care of any of these things. And you just watched it deteriorate, your investment just trickling, and now you want to make all this money and not do anything. So that's not how that works.
That goes to our other video. You got the house, now what? Set aside a savings account for the annual maintenance.
Yes.
A schedule for annual maintenance.
Because you need to maintain your house. I actually finally did have, I know this is a video we did a long time ago about, things to do and maintain. I did have my furnace and AC serviced.
Yeah.
It was only $79.
We just had ours done also, and it wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah. So $79, and it was, now I can check it off my list. And I'm like, I'm going to do this every year.
So let's end out the appraisal process. The other good thing, let's talk a good note on appraisals, is that there's sometimes that an appraisal waiver will be received, which means that you don't have to have the appraisal. The lender's accepting the value where it came in, and you save money, you save time in the process. We used to see them come through with 20% to 30% down payment on primary residence. Now they're allowing it with as little as 10% down on primary residence and second homes. It's all automated. So I don't want to call it the luck of the draw. It's actually probably a very smart system, and it's taking data from past home sales and current. So it kind of knows that the house will be able to, they can release it with an appraisal waiver.
Yeah. And that is huge if you're in a multiple offer. I will tell you, if you can get, even if you're not the highest offer, if you have that appraisal waiver, there's a very good probability that you are going to get the house. So if you are a conventional buyer, talk to your lender about it. It's definitely worth talking about, and it's situational based. So it's house by house. But, if you're looking at a house, but you also have to qualify for it. But then the house does too, because I had one where they're like, no, there's nothing sold there. Like, so the system can't, it was just, there was no recent data for the area. So they couldn't do it. But definitely that's something, if you're new to the home buying process and just getting going, have that little appraisal conversation with your lender and see, is that even an option? Because that's definitely important to tell your agent. It will be huge in negotiating and writing that offer for you. So, all right. Well, it's a holiday weekend. I hope everybody has a good weekend.
Yes.
It's not going to be nice out, but
no.
Well, enjoy the downtime.
Again, which is
yes. And hopefully it's not going to it won't rain. So I'm sick of the rain.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, ladies. Bye, everyone.
Until next time.